In this video, we're going to do two things, and this is about as difficult as linear equations get. If they asked you to do this, this would be the most steps you would ever have to do until the third 9 weeks. So if you can do this, then you should have no problem in the second 9 weeks at all. We're going to write an equation from 2 points. Then we're going to solve for the x and y intercepts. How we're going to do that is we're going to use the equation y equals mx plus b. The two things we'll need to fill in this equation are, just like in the past couple of days, you're going to need the slope and you're going to need the y-intercept. I showed you how to find the x-intercept, and finding the y-intercept is pretty similar. We're not going to use a graph though, so that's the part that's different today. To first find the slope, let's look at two numbers, like number 13. 2 points. M equals, since these are 2 points and they weren't given in a table and they weren't given in a graph, we're going to use the slope formula, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So let's just label these points. I'll make this one the second point, and this one the first point. So in the slope formula, we're going to do a negative 5 minus 3 divided by negative 3 minus 1. On the top we have two negative numbers, so they'll make a bigger negative number, which is negative 8. On the bottom we also have two negative numbers, they'll make negative 4. Combine those two, and two negatives make a positive. 8 divided by 4 makes 2. The slope is 2. So down here, we're going to write y equals 2x plus b. We were able to fill in only the slope for this equation. Now, to find the y-intercept is a point that is on the graph. It's going to be on the graph. We just need to find out when is it on the graph. So this is something on the graph. And this equation over here gives all numbers on the graph. We need the y-intercept, which is on the graph, and this formula will give us everything that's on the graph. If we want to find out how much b is, then we need in order to solve for b, we're going to need to find a number for x and y, and then we're going to solve for b. So right here in this equation, there's 1, 2, 3 things that we don't know. If we can make it so that we do know y and we do know x, then we can multiply these two, subtract it to the left, and then the only thing left will be b, and that'll be our answer. So now let's do that. Let's do that by taking this point. We're going to take 1, 3. Remember that number real quick, 1, 3. We know that y is equal to 2x plus b. We're going to take the point 1, 3, and that is something that we know is on the line. It's going to be on the graph, and it works for the equation. So we're going to take the x and the y, and we're just going to put them into this equation right here. So 3 is the y, 2 times x, which is 1, plus b. Then we can just simplify this. 2 times 1 is 2, plus b. How much does b need to be? How much does the y-intercept need to be for 2 plus it to be 3? If you didn't know it off the top of your head, let's subtract 2 to get 1 is equal to b. The y-intercept is 1. And remember, we labeled the y-intercept as a coordinate, which is 0, 1. And we can fill this in to the final equation to get 2x plus 1. That's our final answer. Let's do it again, and this time it won't take as long because we've already done one example. Following the steps, we're going to write an equation from 2 points. If we're going to write an equation, then we need the slope and we need the y-intercept. The first one that we can find out is the slope. M is equal to y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Let's label the points we're going to pick for y2 and x2 and x1 and y1. And then we just put them up here. -1 is my y2, 4 is my y1, 6 is my x2, minus 1, which is my x1. We have two negatives on top, -1, -4. Together they'll make a -5. On the bottom I just have 6 minus 1 to get 5. My final slope is -1. So let's write that equation. Y equals -1x plus b. Then, if we're going to solve for b, we need to fill something in for y and x. So let's fill in this point. 4 for y, and then copy the slope, times 1 for x plus b. We took this one, and we plugged it in for y and x. That simplifies to make 4 equals -1 plus b, which means that if we add this one and add one here, 5 is equal to b, which means that our original equation can be changed right here by simply taking out b and putting the number 5. The y-intercept is 0, 5.